Welcome to the Bigger Truth podcast. I am Scott McMahon, and I have been so excited about this from the moment that Solomon said that he would join us. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. We're live right now on Facebook, YouTube, X, and I am on, yeah, we're looks like I'm just checking. Yeah, we are on Rumble. I just wanted to make sure that we were live on Rumble. I did mess that up. So we are on Rumble, and I'm just so glad that you are here. You're welcome to comment and question. We have 1 hour right now. I'm going to bring on Solomon Yee. Solomon is the RNC committeeman from Oregon, and we're going to get right into your story. So because we have so much to share. I've been blown away as I've been reading. I've just posted just about everything that you've sent me onto my Twitter account, my X account. It's at Bigger Truth, and we're going to be kind of using that as our slideshow. But if you could start just with kind of a story about how you got here and your experience with the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP.
Totally. Thank you, Scott, for having me. I was born in Shanghai, China, and in a so-called capitalist family because my grandfather, Jiang Yu, owned a tailor shop in Shanghai. And also, he was elder of Shanghai Methodist Church. Now, that's a big no-no for commies. They consider religion is opium for the masses. And then he also is a deputy commissioner in charge of Chinese cops in British concession in Shanghai. Now, you are working for foreign power this time. So the day I was born, I earned 3 labels: offspring of dirty capitalist pig, offspring a opium pusher spiritually, and offspring a enemy of the state. So I was going absolutely nowhere from that perspective because of my family background. And from time to time, they want me to criticize my own grandfather. Capitalism is evil and exploitation of masses. But without knowing much about capitalism, I start defending my grandfather and told, the class, there is no really class, political brainwashing session. And actually, my grandfather provides service and serving his fellow man, and meanwhile supporting 10 tailors and their families. And why capitalism is bad? I don't understand that part. Now, that kind of talk get me into trouble all the time. So at one point, communist government told my dad, if you can't keep your son mouth shut, we will make him disappear in the night, and we bill you for the bullet. And Dad got really scared. And Dad reached out to Grandpa Jiang Yu, who actually already escaped after 1949, and went to Hong Kong, reopened his tailor shop, and also got involved in Hong Kong Methodist Church as an elder. And 1980, he was at Hawaii, attend World Methodist Church conference, ran into his friend, Dr. Glenn Orts. Orts then was president of Pacific University, formerly Alaska Methodist University. So Grandpa Jiang told Dr. Orts the same story, and Dr. Orts said, no problem, I can get him out of China easily. And he said, I'm going to talk to Chinese U.S. Consul General in Shanghai and get him a student visa. And he did, because Dr. Orts was U.S. ambassador to UNICEF under Kennedy administration. But at that point, I didn't even know what Republican means, Republican Party means, what Democrat Party means. As long as somebody can get me out of China, I was very, very grateful because I could have been disappeared in the night, right? And the other thing was very, very interesting is I got my visa and Chinese passport within 3 months, and I was out. I actually was the first group of private students because Glenn Orts gave me a student visa plus scholarship, and my grandpa sponsored me and paid for my living expenses. That's how I got out. I landed in Anchorage, Alaska on October 23rd, 1980. That was my Freedom Day or Liberation Day, whatever you can call it. I only knew thank you and Coca-Cola. Now, I just find out why I learned thank you and Coca-Cola from my dying dad 1 month ago, 2 weeks ago. And dad quit eating on March 8th, only drinking Coca-Cola and water. So my brother and I provide hospice care at home, take our term for 29 days. So when his mind was clear, I said, Dad, why Coca-Cola? You should have insured, right? And so you can get some nutrition value, right? He said, well, when Grandpa owned the tailor shop in Shanghai, he always take me to British expat clubs and to talk to clients. And so the waiter came, offered me, what would you like to drink, young man? I said, Coca-Cola. And when they served me Coca-Cola, I say, thank you. That's why I told you, you don't have to worry about English you don't know anything about. All you need to know is thank you and Coca-Cola. That's how I started in America. So that's my background.
Wow. And then fast forward 20 years after, so just 20 years after you got here, you were an RNC committeeman, right?
Right. I moved out of Anchorage, Alaska, and in 1990. And I realized Oregon politics is different from Anchorage, Alaska. Anchorage, Alaska is much more conservative. And I got my green card and ready to get my citizenship here in Portland. And so I realized I need to get involved. And one thing I realized was Hillary was pushing socialized medicine called Hillary Care. So that's how I got involved first. And then I ran to be vice chair of Polk County Republican Party, chair of Polk County Republican Party. And I first got elected as a Republican National Committeeman in 2000. And I'm off my committee, got re-elected 6 times. Those are 4-year term. So by end of our convention in July this year, I will serve on the Republican Party National Committee for total of 24 years.
Wow, that's amazing. That's just an incredible story. So once you told me, as we were texting, you told me a story in 2000 that that you had your first experience just as soon as you came onto the RNC committee, you had an experience with the CCP,
Yes.
trying to get onto basically trying to attend the RNC meetings. Is that right?
Right. What happened was first I got elected in 2000, and I was organizing Taiwan ambassadors' Chinese New Year's banquets for RNC members every January during our winter meeting. And also in return, because they host us and celebrating Chinese New Year at the same time, in return, RNC allowed Taiwan diplomats to attend RNC meetings. And so that was a good thing. And suddenly I had a RNC staff member who was born in Shanghai, somewhere in China, maybe Shanghai, and immigrated to this country when he was 7 years old, 7 or 8 years old, and complained about no equal treatment for Chinese diplomats. So I said, what do you want? I want to bring them here to attend RNC meetings. I said, do you realize you want dictatorship diplomats and to attend RNC? We're standing for freedom. And RNC meeting, this is crazy. So I told him, take the issue to RNC General Counsel. He did. So the General Counsel came to me, said, what would you like to do? I said, well, let's do this. Tell them they're welcome to attend. But however, one of the members is going to sponsor a RNC resolution calling for free Tibet and bring attention to Tibetans' human rights violations. And all C-SPAN cameras and other media cameras will be there, and they are welcome to watch the debate. Ever since, they never ever asked for attending RNC meeting again.
So you knew from the very beginning there exactly how to deal with.
Yeah, and then also I also realized our government has been infiltrated at a level of State Department. 2003, and Colin Powell, then Secretary of State Colin Powell, promised CCP China RNC will only give 2 guest passes to diplomats and countries. Those countries have formal diplomatic relationships with the US. That means exclude Taiwan. And meanwhile, DNC give 24 guest passes to Taiwan delegation, legislators, and diplomats in Philadelphia. And I took that issue very seriously. We suppose standing for freedom and democracy, and also we should do better than what DNC did. So I took the issue all the way to the White House. They said, what do you want to do? I said, very easy. I'm going to take on Secretary of State Powell directly, and you look the other way. And I went to 5 state parties, got 25 guest passes for the Taiwan delegation, beat DNC by 1 guest pass. And then CCP foreign minister called White House and called Colin Powell to complain because Colin Powell broke his promises to them, and China totally lost face during that fight. But you also realized we talk about they penetrating our government at the highest level now.
So Colin Powell at that time, he was the Secretary of State.
That's correct.
Under George W. Bush.
Yeah, under Bush 43. Right.
And so this was and that you're right, the highest levels. I mean, you can't get that
you can't get any higher than that.
And they had him making promises to the Chinese Communist Party.
That's correct.
And this is over 20 years ago. So and obviously now it's much worse. So let's move forward just a little bit. Jeffrey Reynolds says, I have the utmost respect for Solomon Yoon.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the what would be, let me go to the Twitter. So we have lots of, one thing here, I just wanted to share this endorsement from Gordon Chang. So he endorsed you as RNC committee member, and Gordon Chang, I have huge respect for Gordon Chang as well. He's
Me
one of
too.
my favorite writers. So how long have you known Gordon?
For a long time, and I am a fan of Gordon first book, basically collapse of CCP China. And he was right. The minute I saw that book, I realized he is way advanced and thinking those big pictures. And ever since, and I have been his follower, and on Twitter as well. And but when Hong Kong 2 million men marched, he was there, and CPAC and actually went to Hong Kong, met and him and went to Hong Kong and got on the streets and joined those protesters. It's an unbelievable story. Then, of course, CPAC also doing lots of good work, and he's a board, a member of the board of American Conservative Union. And when I realized there is infiltration from Maya Guo's side, and then I went to him to shut them down. You can share that story.
Yeah, let's do that. So Miles Guo, this is Miles Guo here. He created this new federal state of China, but he did this on Steve Bannon's show. So Miles Guo and Steve, and I was a listener for 2 to 3 years of Steve Bannon's show from the very beginning that he launched it, because I wanted to know more about, he'd been on the inside with Trump, and I wanted more of that kind of inside view about what Trump's administration was really like. And he never really talked about his time in the administration, though, which I think was because it was a dumpster fire, largely because of him. And at least that's what I know now. But for 2 to 3 years, I listened to every single episode, and so I was a fan of Miles Guo because I heard what he was talking about the CCP. I learned a lot about the CCP, from Steve Bannon and Miles Guo. But what's fascinating is hearing your take on what happened. I know that he was arrested for, and is he still?
Yes. He's in jail, in custody, because judge asked him to turn in all 11 passports. He only turned in 2 of them.
Wow.
So, in this country, and his followers calling for free Miles Guo, and we will, put you court will not free anyone unless they see you as is not a flight risk, and
right.
which he still is. So his trial is coming up in May,
right,
next month.
So Miles Guo is a billionaire, and what he came on Steve Bannon's show talking about the evils of the CCP, and he said he was forming the new federal state of China, which was like it was like some unofficial country for the free people of China or something. And it always struck me as weird because the flag was actually, this isn't the flag, it was actually blue, but it almost looks like the UN flag. And like it just seemed, the whole thing just seemed kind of weird. But Steve Bannon was into it, and he often did his shows from Miles Guo's yacht, and that was parked, I think, in New York Harbor. And but this right here is an example of what he was saying in China. I'm just going to play this really quick. One more thing I think really for my ideas, Is that really what he was saying in Chinese?
That's correct. What he is saying, he will appreciate an opportunity to serve Chairman Xi and Chairman Xi's great China dream, rejuvenation dream. Now, let's talk about rejuvenation, Xi Jinping's rejuvenation dream. When he wants to take down U.S. and replace U.S. As a only superpower in the world. Now, we don't, it's lots of time when you try to take down what I call false flag operatives, operations in America, you take their words and take a look at their deeds and see, does that make any sense? In this case, in English, he get on Bannon's show, talk about take down CCP. But in Chinese show, he's talking about serving Xi Jinping, who happened to be a dictator. I call him Hitler, right? And on Twitter. And meanwhile, Xi Jinping's dream actually is taking down U.S. and replace U.S. as a world-only superpower. So you got a problem right there. And the other problem really is his deeds and his words are not matching, but he realized most of the people he working with, including Bannon, they don't understand Chinese version. They don't speak Chinese, and I speak both Chinese, Mandarin, and English. So I can tell what he, I can vouch for and translate and what he is saying. And then I realized we got a real problem here. And real problem including he tried to penetrate Trump inner circle and try to visit the White House, okay? And two Trump aides want to bring Miles go to the White House for a visit, got shut down. And so what he did was he took Japanese Prime Minister Abe's picture with Trump and docked it and put on his network and to show his followers he's connected. Then he also bought Mar-a-Lago club membership and to show up and walk his dog and took some pictures and show how close he is to Trump.
Wow.
But the problem with all that is that's what infiltrators do. They want to create an appearance. And that's why you call this a false flag operation. Yeah, that's it. That's the picture.
Right. So they took this picture right here of Abe. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's even a bad Photoshop job, but
yeah, Photoshop job. And the other thing is you also have to pay attention to what he was saying in English. And his followers, including new federal state of China, and they are telling people, Chinese people are not equal to CCP, and then take down CCP. Now, about
yes, that is the central message, and that's what Bannon was saying over and over and over again too. Yeah.
Right, but they were twisting arms at AmeriFest 23. I had 18 RNC members participated there, and 2 of them called me, say, Solomon, we really have a problem. When they got on stage, get everybody off the feet and chanting, 1,500 audience chanting, take down CCP, and Chinese people are not CCP. And I told them, yeah, that bothered me too. That's more like Mao's Cultural Revolution kind of stuff, chanting slogans. And the other thing really bothered one of the RNC member was that they were twisting her arm and tell her all Chinese people are not responsible for Chinese brutality or CCP brutality, if you will, and human rights violation or all kinds of stuff happen in this country. I said, they asked me if that could be the case. I know, because you got a Chinese party, Communist Party members, and without those members, and you wouldn't have Xi Jinping, right? And so those people are supporting the party, and supporting human rights violation, supporting Xi Jinping territorial ambition, Xi Jinping China rejuvenation dream. So if you talk about we need to hold somebody accountable, those people should be held accountable, including COVID by attack on America and on the world, right? And so that was the problem. Then I also got a tip from that event. They want to not only get a booth at a CPAC, this year's CPAC, also want to be on the stage of CPAC. So I had a talk with Gordon Chang. I said, this is a clear false flag operation, try to infiltrate CPAC. And we can't let them get away with this. So Gordon shut them down.
Wow. Wow. Should I play this one right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me play this.
Yes,
This is about a few minutes.
just the NBA. And before I ask you a question, Dr. Fu, I'm going to actually go to you. In the moment that, or the time since I asked last questions, I had an opportunity. Staff brought me the complaint that you described in your testimony about the people who were incited to protest outside your house. And I see that the defendant in that, and I hate even to say this in public, but it's Guo Wingui. Is that how you say the name? Miles Kuo, as we see that name.
Yes.
And as I've just done a little research on him, he appears in my social media thread a lot. I mean, not him personally, but people advocating for this person. I don't know anything about him. He said, I looked him up, and I understand he's a Chinese billionaire. He's under indictment. He just pleaded not guilty to a number of accusations in a superseding indictment, but he got out of your lawsuit when he filed a bankruptcy case in the District of Connecticut. Subsequently, that didn't go too well for him, so he sort of put that on ice, and he's alleged to have incited the same sort of harassment that you describe against the United States trustee in the bankruptcy proceeding that he was involved in. So now, do I understand that you contend that Mr. Miles Guo Wingui is acting on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party? Is that your allegation? I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, but is that your allegation?
Yeah, when those people were sent by him from all over the United States to attack and harass me and my family, I was searching really very hard, like, what did I do to him? How much? I mean, I have nothing, no business dealings, no relationship with him prior at all. So there's the only conclusion is he must have a task to destroy our work of human rights and religious freedom.
And you believe he does that on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party?
I'm pretty sure he has a task.
So this gets to be very complicated.
He's absolutely right. It gets to be very complicated. And this is one of the things that was most surprising to me as you were telling me this, it just shocked me so much, because I thought that everything that the Chinese, all the propaganda and everything that they tried to do here in this country was to promote like this positive idea of the Chinese Communist Party. But here we have Miles Guo, who appears to be a CCP agent, essentially. And also I want to show, because you shared this too, which was just pretty striking to me, because we saw their Dan Bishop, that was Representative Dan Bishop, that was interviewing there. He had a lapel pin on. You have one right now for the RNC, right?
Mm-hmm. It's an identity lapel pin.
That's right. Which is really important. And let me find
NBA.
I'm sorry, the pictures of the pin. Here it is. And this is, so this was actually entered into evidence from that they found on his possession. Is that right?
When FBI searched his residence in New York with search warrant, and they discovered PLA, I think for 24K gold, PLA, that stands for People's Liberation Army, lapel pins, 2 of them. And also he has a code name. Who 9 is his code name in Chinese, and as PLA military intel officer or agent.
Wow, this is absolutely stunning. So this this just completely blew me away because the whole I'd heard about false flags and but it's so hard to wrap our head around because it seems like they're doing the opposite of what you would think their motive would be. So and this whole idea, nobody outside, really nobody that hasn't listened to Steve Bannon, because he wasn't really on anybody else's shows. Maybe some people that are kind of in Steve Bannon's orbit or in his kind of podcaster network, but unless you're in that network, you haven't heard of Miles Guo, most likely. Most so it was really targeting, and that network is the conservative grassroots. And so this was an operation that was targeting deliberately the conservative grassroots. Is that right?
That's correct. And also this is what is the best way to penetrate Trump's orbit, go through Steve Bannon, go through others, and to get to Trump. But I'm glad Trump's national security team and shut Miles down completely. So he did not get a visit to the White House, and he did not have a picture with Trump.
Yeah, and so that picture with Trump is a really interesting thing because that's something that they really use in their propaganda, right?
That's correct. If you take a look, the other operation I shut down at Mar-a-Lago fundraiser, a lady named Cindy Young.
That's this one, right?
That's correct. Cindy Young actually is a fundraiser for another gentleman who is CCP assets, Cliff Lee. And we will talk about that story too.
Yeah.
And Cindy Young actually paid. Now, Cliff Lee is on the right of this picture, and on Cliff Lee's right is Trump's sister. Then on Trump's sister's right is the lady named Cindy Young. Cindy Young owns a massage parlor, and paid $50K to have that picture taken with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Now, how she paid is questionable because all $50K should have come out of her pocket as personal money, but she borrowed 10 from husband and borrow another 10 from mother-in-law and another 10 from receptionist, another 10 from masseuse. Now that self already violated campaign finance law, okay? And she took the picture and signed by Trump and then advertising this picture as something she can do for CCP elites in Beijing Chinese language magazines, okay? And something like, give me 100K. I get you to the Mar-a-Lago and have your picture taken with Trump. And when that happened, and stories start breaking out, and people realize, oh, we got a problem. And I tried to shut down, didn't work. Then my friend Steve Yates, former national security agency staff member, and then became Bush 43 White House deputy national security advisor. And he took to his old national security agency to shut that one down. Result of shutting that one down, if you remember, that is a story. A 27 years old Chinese woman with 2 cell phones, $7,000 in cash, showed up at a Mar-a-Lago
And some
and lied
too, didn't you?
lied to Secret Service, got arrested. Then they discovered this woman actually got a thumb drive and with viruses. She was going to plant virus in Mar-a-Lago Wi-Fi system. Got arrested and tried and sentenced for 3 years. Now just released and deported. So, but that woman did not know National Security Agency shut this Mar-a-Lago fundraiser down already. Okay, so that's what happened.
Wow, that's just that, and yeah, that they obviously. So there, this picture taken at Mar-a-Lago.
That's correct. That picture is the Mar-a-Lago picture,
and this is with Trump's sister right there.
Yes. Yeah. You talk about deep penetration. Here we go.
Right. Wow. Okay. So then, this story. So with Miss China, that has to do with this guy, right?
This guy, yes.
Yes.
2016 April, and this guy David Wong founded Chinese Americans for Trump. But the problem with this guy is we already knew he is CCP asset. How did we know? There was a protest in Philippines against Chinese embassy because Philippines and China got into South China Sea dispute. And so Filipinos came out, protested against China. This guy was organizing patriotic Chinese tourists, students, and Chinese people in America to protest in front of Filipino Consul General's office in Los Angeles with his email address and phone number. Wow. I got a quick text message and with a screenshot from DC, a think tank specialized in counter CCP espionage. And told me, you got a problem. You got a penetration into Trump campaign. That's the picture. Then he further penetrated RNC major donor program, featuring Vice President Pence that year. And he donated money to RNC because he is a green card holder. And he took the guest, who is Ms. China. You should have showed that picture. It's a very interesting picture too. And
I find it here. There it is.
Yeah, here the picture. Ms. China actually go to table, introduce herself to our male RNC male major donors and invite them to visit her in Beijing or in China somewhere. And I got a screenshot of this business card immediately, and I got a tip, and I knew this in the counter espionage or counter infiltration world we call honey trap. Okay, yeah. And realized this honey trap is going on. So again, I went to Steve Yates. I said, your agency or your formal agency and National Security Agency needed to step in and shut this thing down. And we got an active infiltration going on. And we shut that one down too.
Wow. So this was actually the business card that she was handing out.
Yes, right. They got a shot of the business card and text to me and told me what's going on. And we shut this one down immediately.
Wow. So yeah, the efforts that they've gone to in order to infiltrate the RNC at the top are just fascinating. And so
And Trump camping too. They not just RNC, Trump camping as well.
that's right. Yeah. So the what do you think? I'd like to go back to the Miles Guo thing, because I really think that kind of relates to especially what I've been studying with the this operation to infiltrate the grassroots and turn them against the Republican Party. And so and I don't fully understand how it might relate. But the timing is really similar.
Yes.
And it came through Steve Bannon. The origin of all of this, the operation that I've been looking at, really occurred on February 6, 2021, when Dan Schultz came on Steve Bannon's show, and this was promoted. The precinct strategy was promoted as the way to solve all of our problems. What ordinary grassroots Americans could do, they could get involved in the Republican Party, and they could kick out all the rhinos. And that message was used by all of these, by organizations in every state that I've looked at, to recruit and indoctrinate incoming precinct delegates to kind of vote as a block to remove the people that they wanted removed, who were really the most effective people within the parties. They were branded as establishment rhinos, and
Right.
they were removed. And so, and that actually happened to you. So, that out of nowhere, you had, can you tell us about the resolution that you sponsored and that was passed? Was it passed after COVID about the
Yes.
desire to impose sanctions on the CCP?
Right. I authored and passed a RNC resolution to hold CCP China accountable for Wuhan virus damages. And I consider COVID is a bio attack on America and on the world by Xi Jinping. And the resolution actually calls for reparations, and President Trump also got on TV, talk about worldwide damage reparation should be 60 trillion. To me, was so good, because he can take down CCP China without firing a single shot, like Reagan did.
Right.
The reason is they cook books, they claim then their GDP is 17 trillion a year. Think about 60 trillion. How many times of the 17 trillion GDP a year? So you can totally bankrupt them.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he wants to do this kind of stuff through tariffs on Chinese goods to U.S., Chinese imports to U.S., and that will accelerate decoupling and creating such a chaos like right now. And Chinese people, especially young people, when you have 47% of young people have no jobs in China right now.
Wow.
That's a powder cake situation.
Gosh.
Okay.
Wow.
And so you can really take CCP down that way. So I sponsored that resolution and passed unanimously. So that was one of the things I did. And because of this resolution, my friend, Congressman Alex Looney, and Mooney sponsored a bill and called COVID Victim Compensation Act. And basically, he slapped 10% special duties on all Chinese imports to U.S. and turned that 10% into COVID victim compensation funds. And he introduced that. So I was, very excited about all this. And then next thing you know, I've been accused as a CCP spy. as CCP agent by those I call false flag operatives in Oregon. First of all, they try to recall me. Okay, and so that is something I call basically they are projecting, and also if if you yourself are infiltrators, you would projecting, right? You would project, and in my case, I see this kind of same tactics like Maya Go is using nationally, and they're using. They try to get to close to the ones they think will bring them endorsements and will help them. I see that too. And another thing is they're not targeting rhinos. They're not targeting Democrats. They're targeting true mega conservatives. And I consider myself as a constitutionalist. A constitutionalist before being a party national committeeman or being a Republican Party member. And so when you see this, you said, okay, why this is happening? You have to ask that question. Another thing is there is racist elements with criminal backgrounds if you're looking into those guys.
Mhm.
So you say, what is going on? Because if you remember our preamble of independent declarations of independence, and we believe, and this party, the Republican Party, believe, our founders believe, all men are created equal by God. There is no place for racism. There is no place for victory. And of course, during that part, and racism was used against me, and Don Powers, who has a criminal record, actually built a effigy. Now, I saw this kind of stuff only on TV, and KKK did this kind of stuff to blacks in South, not here, not in Oregon or in this part of the world, and not even in TV, right? In movies. So when you see this kind of stuff, you have to ask the question: who are they? Are they false flag operatives?
Right.
And who is paying them? CCP, George Soros. So this kind of stuff, we have to take a stand, I believe.
Yeah.
And especially Don Powers is running for 6th Congressional District Chairman on May 25th.
Right.
And if Republican Party is not going to take a stand, we become our predecessor, the Whig Party, which failed to take a stand on black slavery.
Mhm. Yeah, I was trying to pull up a picture of that effigy that he had in the back of his pickup truck. But this story about Don Powers is pretty remarkable. He had he had never even voted in his life in any election until 2022.
Right.
Wasn't involved in the Republican Party at all. He showed up in 2021. Was that just shortly after that resolution that you wrote?
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, that's right after the resolution I wrote and passed. And then he showed up working on election integrity.
Right.
And you will find common denominator on that too.
Tell me
And
about
all those infiltrators are working on election integrity.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. They are. Mhm.
And by the way, you wouldn't be surprised. Miles Gore actually funded election integrity projects.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the types of projects, and I'd really like to maybe we could come back on even just to talk about that, because the types of projects that I've seen that these operatives in every state focus on in terms of election integrity is the deceptive type projects. So these are lawsuits that are destined to fail. They really seem to be designed to fail.
Mhm.
Like even Carrie Lake's bid to try to the Supreme Court, appeal to the Supreme Court, that was denied, I think, just yesterday.
Right.
And they had no hope of like the reason why she put that to the Supreme Court is just so that she could play victim and to try to denigrate the Supreme Court, because they didn't have standing over it. This is a 2-year-old thing. That what she was the remedy that she was asking for was completely unrealistic, and it was just designed to fail. And so they have these cases, these court cases that are designed to fail, and they're either poorly written, or they ask for a remedy that's impossible for a court to provide, or they're focused on a more of a diversion tactic, like looking at the machines, which they still use the machines. They still insist on one-day voting and hand paper, paper ballots and hand counting now. And if that doesn't happen in November, then it's not a valid election. And what they're trying to do is discourage people from voting at all, especially Republicans. They want to discourage Republicans from voting. And that's
Well,
the whole narrative.
What really bothered me of those guys promoting the concept, if legal ballot chasing and ballot harvesting
Mhm.
is allowed, and they want us to give up a weapon, basically,
That's right.
to combat the other side and to get our votes out. And ballot chasing and ballot harvesting allow our volunteers
Mhm.
to figure out who voted, who didn't vote. Then you spend your resources to go after the ones who have not voted.
Mhm.
That makes perfect sense. It's not in a perfect world, but you fight with a tool you got, especially that law passed by the other side. Why not use it? You asking all the conservatives to sit on their ballots and turn in last day. That's called suicidal.
That's right.
It's a
That's
total suicide.
Yeah.
And
That-
so the
it's
question is why?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And so when you see this kind of today, Trump also support ballot chasing and ballot harvesting. And so when you see this, you have to question what they say and what they do and the result of what they do. What is going to be the outcome, right? And outcome is another loss of our election and get grassroots so upset. When grassroots upset, they want to throw everything out. Okay, good, bad, and throw baby out with bathwater, right? And when you have this, you have to question their real motive. Creating chaos is a motive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's the creating chaos is, I mean, you know this better than most, but that is one of the primary tools of communist, agitators. That's really their objective, is chaos. And which makes it hard for most normal people to understand, what do they really want? Because it's so chaotic and confusing. What do they really want? And that's where, this false flag operation really comes in, is it's, a big part of it is just to create chaos and confusion.
Totally.
Jeffrey asked a good question, which is, can Solomon comment on the vice chair of the California GOP who was forced to resign due to ties to the CCP? Do you know anything about that?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, my friend Jennifer Van Laar, L-A-A-R, wrote an article to expose his connection to CCP. After the article, he was going to run for re-election as vice chair of California State Party. One step that close to be RNC member. And because usually next step for a state party vice chair is become a state party chair. When you become state party chair, you become one of the 168 members, right? So he was that close. And Jennifer article totally got him exposed, and he decided not to run for re-election. That was great. By the same token, Jennifer article totally shut Cliff Lee's operation down.
Yeah. And Jennifer's with redstate.com,
With
right?
Red State is managing director, and lots of time he write his own her own articles.
Mm-hmm. Great. So back to Don Powers, he was a, he appeared right after that resolution. He came out of nowhere, no
Right.
political background, no political experience, and he showed up at a Reawaken Tour event, right?
Right.
That's where he was first seen, with Joel Oatman really supporting him. Joel Oatman was there, and Joel Oatman is part of the Mike Flynn network. And
Right.
and from what I understand, Joel Oatman has supported him all along. Like that, there's something there as far as, he clearly had someone telling him what to do. I mean, his background is like having messed up relationships with women that have landed him in court, and now all of a sudden he's on the state committee for election integrity and the state committee for human trafficking, which are the two biggest grifts on the right. And he's running for RNC committeeman, and he almost won until you sacrificed yourself. And
Right. Story go like this. I realized who he is, and I also realized if Republican Party, Oregon Republican Party, elected a racist national committeeman with criminal records, we are in trouble for 2024, because Democrats, leftists, media already call Trump a racist, call Republican Party is a racist party. And we just hand them the ammo to shoot at us for this election cycle.
Yep.
And first ballot came in, he was in the first place, I'm in the second place, and Dan Mason in the third place. Then the fourth place gentleman, Jerry, got automatically eliminated. So the right thing to do is to stop a racist person get elected as national committeeman. And so I endorse the person in third place and toss my race to him, and toss my support to him. And I withdraw myself from the race, and that's what happened. That's the right decision, on the spot. You have to make as a leader. You are not paid, but you have to make this kind of decision to save the state and save this party and save this country. Now think about this. Next year is our opportunity to flip Oregon red by electing, I'm talking about 2026, by electing a Republican governor again. And Democrats are losing their registration. Trump gets into the White House. We need help from RNC and Trump White House. You think a national committeeman who is a racist with criminal background would help Oregon to flip red? No, the answer is no. So you have to do the right thing.
Right. And it angers me because, really the guy in third place should have bowed down to you. And, I think what Oregon needed and what this country needed was for you to continue in your position there. But I have a feeling that good things are ahead for you.
Totally.
And, I think it's a great loss for Oregon and a great loss for this country, for the party, and even this country, that you're no longer going to be there at the end of this term. But so grateful for everything that you've done, and for being here on the show and sharing with with my audience and with people in other states this story about CCP infiltration, about the likelihood. And you're gonna come back on Thursday, and we're gonna talk
Yes.
more about the story with Don Powers, especially, and what our next steps are going forward. And so, yeah, there's so much more to learn from you. And so I'm just so grateful that you're here and sharing your wisdom and your experience. So thank you very much. How can
Thank you
people
for having me.
how can people get in touch with you on Twitter, or what's the best way?
My Twitter is at Solomon Yu, just like the way you spell, no space between Solomon and Yu.
Okay.
And my email is Solomon Yu at Solomon.yu at Republicans overseas with s.com.
Okay. Solomon.u at Republicans.
Republicans overseas.com.
Great. Thank you very much. And I was mispronouncing your name, and I apologize. I was saying,
That's okay.
so it's you, is that right?
Yeah, that's you.
All right. You. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait for Thursday. And this is just wonderful. Thank you all for being here live. And until next time, if you can bear with me for just a moment while